Hey everybody, it's Felisa. I apologize for the mood lighting that's going on in here. I actually closed the drapes a little bit because let me see. I thought that the sunlight was causing a bit of a glare. Maybe not. Maybe when I had them fully open. So got a little mood lighting with my candle and my O-ring. Um, so today, let me just level set for a little bit. So I want to say about 2 years ago, maybe three, I had a whole series called Straighten Your Crown. Straighten Your Crown is also the name of my book that I've been promising will be coming out for forever, but I'm finally happy to report that I am working with a publisher or beginning to work with a publisher, and I believe that my book will be out very soon. So I'm very excited about that. It's been done for forever. I just needed to find the right person to help me with getting it out on the market. So I'm super excited about the possibility of being published relatively soon. Anyway, Straighten Your Crown, when I first did it, was kind of like excerpts out of my book, different situations, circumstances, things that I had encountered, situations that I had gone through. I would kind of talk about those things, in a kind of a vlog presentation. I'm going to be revisiting some of those topics and even introducing some new topics for this go round of Straighten Your Crown. Some things I've evolved and I've changed my position on, some things I have not, and you'll just kind of have to wait and see what those are. But I wanted to, kind of put that out there. This is probably geared towards more women, but that doesn't mean that men can't get some of the nuggets and some of the pointers and things like that. And the only reason I say that is that my perspective will inherently always be that of a woman, even though I will stretch myself and try and see other vantage points and other schools of thoughts, and definitely never disregard someone's feelings or their position on things. But because of my presentation, my orientation, my biology, I identify more with the woman side of things and the way that I have experienced life. So I wanted to make sure that I put that out there. It doesn't mean necessarily that I'm biased to the point where I can't see another opinion or an opposing point of view. But a lot of things that I have endured has been, strictly from the vantage point of, being a woman, period. So I can't apologize for that. So today's entry is going to be on, a topic that I have covered extensively, and that's ghosting. And, while it's never my intention to throw anybody under the bus, it is what it is. And I'll be talking a little bit about, some of the relationships and the things that I've gone through and my perspective on that. So here we go. Before I get started, I want to issue a disclaimer that these are my thoughts, my ideas, my views, my rants. It may or may not resonate with you. I hope that it does. And if it does, I hope that you take away a tidbit or a nugget from it. And if it doesn't, I hope that you are, willing to engage in the dialogue, but just be respectful down in the comments. That is the only thing that I ask. So it's no secret, if you've followed me for any length of time, or if you've done a review of any of my video content, I've talked about ghosting at least a couple of times. I've also talked about narcissism and the thought process that I have when it comes to those things. I've also been on record as saying that I believe that ghosting is an exceedingly cowardly response to stressors in everyday life, and that people take the easy way out for whatever reason. I started a Facebook group back in December. One of the reasons that I started it was because I wanted to give a space and a platform for women to come together and not just motivate and encourage each other, but to provide actual resources to each other, jobs, housing, navigating the system, whether it's governmental aid, whether it's childcare, things of that nature. I wanted women to be able to empower other women and to support other women, and really be a source of encouragement and advocacy among each other. So the Facebook group is called You Ok Sis. If you'd like to join, please leave me a DM below. I'd be very happy to add you, or you can just search us on Facebook, and myself or one of the moderators will definitely add you. I try and like my number one goal is to keep it drama free. So, if you are about that life and about that drama, please do not ask to join, because you will be promptly removed if I get a hint that there is some issue. I think that women are able to come together and discuss issues and circumstances and all those kinds of things without pitting themselves against one another. That's very important to me. So, having said that, if you'd like to join, please join us. I think that we will be happy to have you. We're starting a book club in October, I think I said, and I just started a mentorship component. So I think that that should be nice. Anywho, so I posted an article, which I will try and find and leave the link below, on ghosting, but not just typical ghosting, in a intimate relationship, but ghosting of a friendship. And I had some, severe thoughts about that, and other people did too. And there were, at least one or two people were like, oh, well, we can't judge someone's thought process or their coping mechanisms. And, sometimes when you've told a girlfriend, time and time again about certain relationships or things that they should do, and they don't do that, and they keep coming back to you for the same thing, it's okay to ghost them. Well, my thought on the matter, as someone who has been ghosted for, what I view as no reason, I'm sure that the people that did it had all kinds of reasons and rationales or whatever. I'm not really interested in that. All I know is what I was left with and the baggage that I had to carry and the fair amount of unpacking that I had to do, because this person over here decided that they were no longer interested in having a conversation, a comprehensive conversation. And so there's two sides to every story. Yes, I believe that you should be able to preserve yourself at all costs, but I also believe that you don't set somebody else on fire in your efforts to do that. That you always have a way to speak. You always have a way to communicate. Even if that communication is, listen, you getting on my last doggone nerve. I can't do you no more. Like, this relationship is not working. I'm about to be out. For me, I probably would have been like, what the crap is you talking about? But even with that, I feel like that would have at least been some closure. For someone to just stop talking to you, stop responding to your messages, pretend like you never existed, pretend like they never had a relationship with you at all, just go on with their lives. I think that that's inherently cruel. I also think that those people are sociopaths. I'm sorry. I do. I feel like those people weren't properly raised and they have issues, and it's important for them to go ahead and have those issues on their own. But what you can't do is just to leave this tornado-like trauma everywhere that you've gone, and that it's okay for you to function like that as an adult. I expect for children to do like that. But that is, really kind of like the silent treatment on steroids, right? People who invoke the silent treatment, and I have a whole vlog about that. People who invoke the silent treatment have control manipulation issues, point blank, period. And, whether you are having a issue where, okay, I just can't deal with this stress, and I can't deal with this trauma, and I can't deal with this pain right now, so I need to step back. As a big boy or a big girl or a big whatever it is that you associate yourself with, you need to be able to say that. You need to be able to say to the people, whoever the people are, you know what, listen, this is just too much. I'm just not going to be able to can with this. I'm just not. So listen, let's just take a break. When I'm ready, I will contact you. All somebody can do is respect that. If you say that, or if you text that, if you're too cowardly to have a phone conversation, all people can do is respect that, even if they don't like it, because you've opened your mouth and you actually have given closure, and you actually have level set it, and you have actually said how this relationship is gonna be, or this interaction is gonna be, and you've taken back your own control. I'll do that in a minute, and I have done that. Yeah, I can't with you. You are making me crazy, and right now I can't deal with that. So I will call you, when I can, but just please don't call me. Let me just have some space. Let me just have a breath. And while I can't say that, people be like, oh, okay, girl. People be like, oh, all right, then whatever. But it's not as if I haven't had a conversation with you. And it's not as if I have just disappeared off the face of the planet and pretend like you didn't exist. When you do that, you leave psychological trauma in your wake, and you leave people worse than how you found them. And, I think that, even in my, if I look at my My last relationship, my ex was just emotionally constipated. Like he just didn't. When he came, he had ghosted me before. He came back, and he ghosted me again. And I don't know why I thought that things would be different. And it's so odd to me because his whole tagline for his stuff was always trust the process. Well, what process is this? Like we don't talk. Like we don't just. Like you just don't say nothing. Like you a grown man and you don't have no conversation. And for me to come to the realization that he felt like he didn't owe me that, and that it was okay for him to just bounce, and it triggered all of these abandonment rejection issues that I had to work through again as an adult. Like that was not okay. And so I will forever not like I will forever have a lack of respect for him in that area because of the way that he chose to handle things. And I'm not even saying that I didn't deserve to be broken up with. I know that I'm a handful. I know that I was probably getting on his nerves. I probably wasn't responding the way that I should have, but have a conversation with me and end it properly. You don't just walk away like, who raised you? Then I had a girlfriend who did the same thing. Like she was going through a whole bunch of trauma, and while she was going through that trauma, like I rode with her. Like I didn't judge her. I was there for her. I protected her, like literally protected her, defended her. And one day she got a boyfriend, and all of a sudden she didn't feel like she needed to respond to me. I would text her, I would call her, I emailed her. I was so hurt. I think I was more hurt about that relationship than anything else because we had been through so much together. And one day she just stopped talking to me. Just stop talking. And so, once I accepted the fact that, this relationship was over and, she didn't want to, be friends with me, whatever, I went on about my life. It was never the same though. And it was so hard. It really, really was. And then years later, she got back in touch with me and, we went to lunch and, I sat across from her and she was, telling me all the things that was going on with her and she apologized, but she also said that she felt like she disappointed me because she was my mentor. Like, sis, what? I was so taken aback from that because clearly in that moment we saw our relationship dynamic as two different things. Like I always saw her as my sister, as my equal. She literally saw me as a subordinate, as an underling, like, somebody that she was mentoring. Like, you weren't mentoring me. I got a lot from you. I gleaned a lot from you. I'm never going to lie and say that, but I never viewed her as a mentor. It was just the most bizarre thing ever. And in that moment, I felt like she felt it was okay because she thought that she disappointed me, and so she would just remove herself from the equation. And it was so difficult to reconcile that because I loved her. I really, really did. Like, I care so much about her and her well-being and, the person that she was. And I felt like she didn't feel the same way for me. And so I learned in that moment to wear relationships very, very loosely and just, I have girlfriends that I love and care for, but if they decided they want to stop talking to me tomorrow, I'd be like, okay. And I hate that is something that I have learned how to do. That's my response because that's not my typical nature. Like I'm usually very all in and, very compact. Like I want to help, I want to that. But if somebody decided they don't want to be around me or they don't want this relationship, like I have learned to let that go because people can be fickle. And because people can be fickle, they can wake up tomorrow and decide that they no longer want to be bothered with you. And I just refuse to be back in therapy because I gave my whole entire everything to people and they just decided, oh, this relationship is over with no input and no, kind of thought or awareness as to how this would impact me or anybody else. Like, I just think that is an inherently selfish way to behave. And I just don't have time for it. So, when I posted the question in the group, it was interesting. And a lot of people felt the same way that I did. Some people felt like, people have a right to walk away from relationships. And, and I can't say that they don't. Because you do. You have the absolute right to put an end to any relationship that is no longer serving you or causing you distress or harm. I just don't necessarily agree on the way that you do that. I really don't. Like, I'm a communicator. And I think, because I'm a communicator and because I'm very direct and because I'm not getting ready to put up with a whole bunch of BS, like, you will get a text from me. If you don't get a text from me, you're going to get a call from me. Like, very seldom do I, like, float away into the great yonder and you never hear from me and I don't say anything to you. I ghosted one person in my youth. I regret that tremendously. I didn't know how to tell him a certain thing, and I'm not gonna put that out on a vlog, but it was something that I just really couldn't get past, and I didn't know how to really deal with that. I was also going through a divorce and raising kids, and I'm not making an excuse for myself, but in that moment, I was not thinking clearly or rationally. But every time this has happened to me subsequently, like, I do wonder, like, is this karma? Like, but I have apologized, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't deal with that correctly. But in my 50s, I'm not dealing with that. Like, if you feel like you need to ghost as a matter of ending or severing a relationship, then I just pray that you go with God and you get on out my life, because you're not adding any value, and I'm not about to be stressed over somebody's child. Nobody's son, nobody's daughter. I'm just not getting ready to do it. Nope. Next. Anyway, I still have that thought process surrounding ghosting, and I'm saying it again because I think I still feel strongly about it. Especially if you are in your 40s, 50s, and beyond. If you just avoid people's phone calls or avoid people's, text messages, and you have not brought any closure or any clarity to that relationship, and you've done that solely because it's easier for you, you are a coward. You're a coward, and nothing good will come to you unless you get those relationships right. Like, you need to get those relationships right. And I'm not even saying it from my vantage point. I just believe that I don't know how you expect to receive full blessings of anything. I don't know how you sleep at night, because you're a psychopath. Okay, maybe not a psychopath, but, like, I can't do it. Like, I will have told you, and I think that maybe that's my flaw. Anybody who has ever run afoul of me, you've gotten a phone call or you got a text, and I told you exactly what I meant and meant what I said, because I just think it's important to be able to have that connectivity. And once we end on the same note. I'm not even asking you to validate what it is that I said. You ain't got to agree. But you will never be able to say, well, B never told me and she just stopped talking to me. No, that's not the way that goes. That's not what happens. Anyway, I'll leave the link below. Like I said before, I want you guys to take a look at it. Let me know what you think in the comments, what your thoughts are on ghosting, and in any context. Is it ever acceptable? I say that the only time that it's acceptable is if your life is in danger, or if, there's trauma, or, perhaps you've had these same circular conversations for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and there's been no resolve. Even with that last scenario, even though you've had the conversation, I think that I probably will have one last, this is it, I can't do this anymore. I'm just not going to be able to I can't. I tried. I'm unable. I'm unable. And I think that reduces the ambiguity, because nobody will ever be able to say, well, she never said, or he never said, last time I talked, blah, 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 and then you just stop answering my phone calls. Like, y'all got to stop with that stuff. That's such cowardice. It's trifling. It really is. Stop it. Who child to ghetto. Anyway, leave your thoughts below, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.